Good morning, peeps. This is the end of the project. I've been working on this bike for the last few months. I actually started at the end of the summer and I've just finished, well, I wouldn't call it restoration, but a rebuild of this beautiful 1995 RF900. So last video that I posted on the channel was actually a slideshow showing all the work that I've done to it, and this was quite extensive, which was engine out to rebuild the gearbox. So actually maybe I'll tell you the full story of this bike. So I bought this during the winter 2024 from the Facebook RF community member, and this bike was meant to be just a simple service type of job, which is all the fluids, rebuilding brake calipers, and maybe doing some carbs work. This bike was stood for almost a decade. So I bought it without seeing it, without inspecting it. The bike was delivered by a van. And on the first inspection, literally quick ride in the neighborhood, I figured out the gearbox is actually faulty. So it was a typical case of the second gear slipping, which was a bummer because that means engine out to rebuild the gearbox. So I had to wait a few months to start this project due to health condition. And so in the middle of the summer, I started working on this bike. I pulled the engine out. I got brand new parts to rebuild the gearbox, and let me tell you, to get NOS parts for the gearbox on this bike, it's pretty much impossible these days. So the second gear I got from Australia, the third and fifth gear, which are neighboring gears with the second one, and ideally you want to replace all three, I got from Netherlands and Germany. So it was quite a headache to get those parts, and I don't think they're available anywhere else at the moment. I also got new shift forks, because the old ones, well, one of them actually was worn out quite badly. So I've rebuilt the gearbox. Then, just for good measure, I've replaced the clutch, and this was both steel plates, friction plates and springs. And then I decided to check the valve clearance. Obviously I had to strip the carbs, clean them, synchronize them, inspect them. This bike came with aftermarket exhaust can, and I've changed it to a bone stock can, which was nicely polished. There's a little Yoshimura sticker on it, but that's just a sticker. The exhaust can is bone stock, and it's lovely, quiet, clean and perfect. I wanted this bike to be stock, so I didn't want to put any modifications on it. The modified RF sits over there. So continuing with the work, let's go from the front. So I serviced the front suspension with new oil. I cleaned everything inside. I've put those fork protectors at the top, resprayed the forks. I've rebuilt the calipers with new seals. Didn't put the new pads on because they were like 80% left, so I've left that untouched. I've resprayed the exhaust. If you pay attention, you can probably see that now it's red, matching the lovely Testarossa red livery of this bike. I've also rebuilt the rear caliper, which now looks absolutely sweet. So new seals, polished pistons, beautiful. I've also sprayed this rear disc just for better looks. I've put braided lines at the rear, and I've also done this at the front. Going further with the brakes, I've rebuilt the master cylinder, replaced the brake fluid in the clutch system. Also rebuilt the pump here on the master cylinder for the clutch. I've also rebuilt the clutch slave cylinder, this gizmo over there. I've resprayed the starter motor. I had a little bit of a clean for the alternator and sprayed the covering plate. Obviously you resprayed the swing arm, rear sets and all the little bits and bobs around. Put new rear sprocket, new front sprocket, old chain. That is only temporary because, I mean, the chain is still pretty good, so you know I could ride it for a couple of thousand miles, but I do have a new chain at home, and the chain is red, so just to match the livery of the bike. And I think I'm going to put a red rear sprocket as well, just to complement the whole package. It's just going to look spectacular. And as you can see, it's got stock mudguard. We sprayed the wheels, you know, the stock seat. Have a look at this exhaust. It looks absolutely spot on, perfect. No scratches, no dings, just beautiful. So in terms of service, I've replaced the coolant, engine oil, oil filter, air filter, spark plugs. As I said, all the brake fluids in all the systems, which is clutch and brakes, front and rear. Replaced those indicators, and as you probably noticed, mirrors and indicators are in stock. And you probably would question, I say that the bike is stock and those two aren't. Well, the mirrors isn't actually my choice. This is how I bought this bike, so I am going to be replacing those mirrors to go back to stock, because I think they don't look good at all. Indicators, however, I think that looks pretty sleek, so I might leave it. Going back to the work that I've done on the bike, another pretty neat feature is that now I've got the rear shock serviced by Firefox Racing. So I actually pulled it out and the shock was leaking. It was pretty much worn out, and I sent it to Firefox Racing here in the UK. The lead time was 5 weeks, so a long time, but they've done a great job on it. They've powder coated the spring and they've rebuilt the shock from scratch, so new seals, new gas, new oil. So I guess it's going to be okay for the next few years, at least 5 I would say. There's absolutely zero rust in the tank. The bike is super clean, and I've made sure that it presents itself really lovely. So let's just have a little look. The tires are still old, they're over 10 years old, but in terms of thread they're pretty damn good and there's no cracks on those tires. So for the time being I think I'm gonna leave them, and next year when I bounce back with the budgets for the bikes, I think I'm gonna replace them. The Pirelli Rosso Corsa will be my choice. I've got those tires on the black RF and I'm super happy with those. So as you can see, the bike is extremely clean. It's only got 21,000 miles. No modifications anywhere apart from the brake lines. Another tough little job was replacing the headstock bearings on this bike. I wasn't actually sure if I needed to do this, to be honest with you, but it felt a little bit notchy, and so I replaced it just in case. So basically, to sum it up, the whole bike has been rebuilt. Rear suspension, front brakes, rear brakes, gearbox, clutch, valve clearances. The whole bike is bone stock and in beautiful factory condition and colors. I think, in my opinion, this is the best possible color for Suzuki RF900. It literally looks like a Testarossa on 2 wheels. Have a look at that. Okay, so let's listen to the exhaust note, because a bone stock bike sounds pretty different than the usual modified RF. Starts with just touching the button. Just listen to this. It just purrs like a kitten. Isn't it just incredible how quiet this is? I am absolutely chuffed to bits. So this is it, folks. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you like how the project came out. Now the question is, what do I do with this bike? To be honest with you, I don't even know. I've always wanted to have a stock RF in this color. Thanks for watching, folks. Hope you enjoyed it. Until next time.